The Lord of Rest, a bedtime story from Gospel of Matthew, chapter 12. The sun rose slowly over the fields of Galilee, casting a warm golden light on the ripened heads of grain that swayed gently in the morning breeze. The earth itself seemed to stretch and yawn beneath the light, preparing for another quiet day. Birds soared low over the fields, their wings brushing the cool air, and a stream murmured softly in the distance, winding its way through the hills like a silver thread. Among these serene scenes, Jesus and his disciples walked together, their sandals brushing against the soft earth. Their steps were slow and unhurried, and their conversation low and peaceful. The disciples were hungry, and as they passed through the fields, they began to pluck the heads of grain, rubbing them between their hands and eating the kernels. It was a Sabbath, the day of rest. And as they walked and ate, shadows stretched from the edges of the path, shadows of watching eyes, critical and cautious. The Pharisees, keepers of the old laws, stepped forward, their voices sharp against the quiet of the morning. "Look," they said, pointing at the disciples. "Your followers are doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath." Jesus turned to them, his expression calm and his voice as steady as the hills. "Have you not read," he said, "what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God, and they ate the sacred bread, not meant for them, but for the priests alone." He paused, letting the silence settle like dust on ancient stone. "If you had understood what it means," he continued, "I desire mercy, not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the innocent." And then he said it, plainly and gently. "The Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath." With those words, the morning deepened. The sun rose higher. The grain fields swayed, and a new truth unfolded like a scroll in the breeze. One of mercy, of rest, and of the gentle heart of God. Later that day, Jesus entered a synagogue. It was quiet there, with the rustle of robes and the low murmur of prayers lingering in the air. A man stood near the edge of the room, his hand withered and curled, unable to stretch or work. The Pharisees, watching closely, asked a question, not for understanding, but to accuse. "Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath?" Jesus, never hurried and never harsh, looked at them and asked a question of his own. "If one of you has a sheep," he said, "and it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, would you not lift it out? How much more valuable is a person than a sheep?" Then turning to the man with the withered hand, he said gently, "Stretch out your hand." The man looked at Jesus, and in that moment, faith bloomed in the quiet of his soul. Slowly, tremblingly, he stretched out his hand, and as he did, it was restored, strong, whole, alive. Gasps echoed through the room like a wave through reeds. But Jesus said nothing more. He simply turned, his robe brushing the temple floor, and walked away into the sunshine. The crowds followed him. So many people, some limping, some blind, others leaning on friends for support. They brought to him their wounds, their illnesses, their aching hearts, and Jesus healed them all without fanfare, without demand. He asked them only to keep it quiet, for he came not to seek fame, but to fulfill the promise whispered through centuries. Here is my servant, the ancient prophet had written, whom I have chosen, the one I love, in whom I delight. He will not quarrel or cry out. No one will hear his voice in the streets. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. That was Jesus. He was not loud or proud. He did not crush the weak. He lifted them. As evening settled over the hills like a soft blanket, there came a man who could not speak, possessed by darkness. And Jesus healed him too. The man spoke, and the people marveled. Could this be the son of David? They whispered. But the Pharisees grumbled among themselves. It is by the power of demons, they said, that he drives out demons. Jesus heard them, and though his voice remained gentle, his words were firm. A kingdom divided against itself cannot stand, he said. If Satan drives out Satan, how can his kingdom endure? And he taught them that the heart matters more than appearances, that what we say flows from what is stored inside, the good or the bad, and every word, like every seed in the fields, grows into something. Then some asked for a sign, a miracle to prove he was who he claimed. But Jesus, gazing into their hearts, answered not with spectacle, but with story. He spoke of Jonah, swallowed by the great fish and emerging after 3 days, a picture of what was to come. He spoke of a queen who traveled far to seek wisdom, and of how something greater than Solomon now stood before them. He spoke not to dazzle, but to awaken. And when he spoke of spirits and empty houses, he warned gently. It is not enough to be swept clean. The heart must be filled with light, with truth, with the Spirit of God. Then, as the sky deepened to shades of indigo and rose, someone said to him, "Your mother and brothers are outside, wanting to speak with you." And Jesus, smiling, stretched his hand toward those around him, toward the quiet listeners, the seekers, the ones who leaned in with open hearts. "Here," he said, "are my mother and my brothers, for whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my family." And just like that, the lines drawn by walls and names melted away, replaced by something stronger: love, faith, and the quiet belonging of those who listen and follow. If this brought you a moment of peace, feel free to subscribe for more calming content each day. Now, dear one, as you close your eyes and let this day slip away, remember the one who does not break the bruised reed, the one who heals gently, who teaches with wisdom, who speaks with calm. He is the Lord of rest, the comforter of the weary, the keeper of your soul. May your dreams be filled with golden fields and quiet streams. May your heart rest in the peace of knowing you are seen, loved, and called family by the one who walks through grain fields, still speaks truth, and always offers rest. Good night. Sleep peacefully in his embrace.